Okay, let's get started. So, what I have here is a box from WristMax. So this is the Ermes Gasparini set. So it's $180. So quite expensive, but we'll see if the quality is worth it. You know, these past 5 years, I've used the Mazarenko equipment, and it's been really good. It's also pretty expensive. Like this right here is probably $100 something, maybe 120 or so, because you have this and then you have this piece. You know, this by itself is over $70. You know, that's the Mazarenko stuff comes from, I think, Poland, so it does take, you know, like a month and a half to get to you. So, you know, that kind of sucks. If you want something now and you have a match coming up or something like that, Mazarenko probably is not the right choice for you. So without further ado, I have the box here, and then we're gonna open it up. So what we're gonna do is initial impressions, and then we're gonna see if I think the quality is worth the money, and we'll compare it to what I already have. Not really good way to cleanly open this. All right, so everything is bubble wrapped, so that's pretty good. So I'm going to take everything out. Hopefully this makes me like Ermes. Doubt it though. Okay, that's the whole box. All right, so what we have here is 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces, and the metal bar where the handles go. So the metal bar is basically the same thing as this thing. I think their metal bar is slightly different. All right, so let's see if I can compare these two. All right, so this is the Mazarenko handle. So I've had this for 5 years. One thing you'll see is when you get something like a handle from Mazarenko is that the hole for this and the hole for this is basically perfect for each other, which means that there's not a lot of wiggle room, which means that it's gonna be really tight and it's gonna squeak a little bit. So what I would do with these ones when you first get it is use some sort of grease and grease this up really, really nicely, and that way you won't have that squeaking. So this one, there's one hole here right in the middle, but this one is curved. Of course the shaft is thicker because, you know, they don't want you to use other handles on them, right? But very sturdy, unscrews really well. Even this has some weight to it. All right, so we'll put this aside and we'll start looking at the actual handles. So I'm already pretty excited about it. Feels pretty good. So initially the person who introduced me to the WristMax handles is Joseph Marento. He's top 10 in the world at 165. He's been on East versus West a couple times. You know, I was always against using handles where my wrist had a strap on it because I always thought that my wrist wasn't getting work and some other stuff, and that's why I preferred something like this. But I mean, results speak for themselves, so it's worth trying at least. All right, which one is this one? So this looks like their version of a wrist wrench. So every one of these arm wrestling companies that make handles, they all have their own version of like wrist wrenches, because the wrist wrench is the most popular handle. They all do it slightly differently. So I'll show you the difference between this one and the Mazarenko one. So as you can see, this one has a strap right here for your wrist and 2 straps here which go on the cable machine, and then you can curl it in. The Mazarenko one, so I've had this Mazarenko one for the past 5 years. One bad thing about this one is that the grip deteriorates pretty quickly. So what you have to do is put, this is like skateboard tape. You put that over it and then you'll have better grip. So you'll probably end up having to do that. But the straps on this, you know, everything else, the build quality is really nice. So see the difference of this. As far as the dimensions, pretty similar, maybe around 2 inches or so, which is perfect, it's ideal. So for this one, you can either use this or not use it, but we're going to be using it. So strap it like that, strap it to the cable machine, and go like that. Well, actually, maybe I'm doing it wrong. Alright, so hand goes here, just like that. Alright, what do we have next? Ooh. This is one I'm looking forward to. So this is the cone handle. I have one for Mazarenko as well. So here is the Wrist Max cone handle. You know, very good, very smooth on the ends. Kind of, you know, has some grip to it. The Mazarenko, on the other hand, given this is, you know, 4 or 5 years old, but you see how it's already, kind of peeling. That's because these are 3D printed. I don't know if these are made in a different way, but they seem like they're, I don't know, made of higher quality, maybe a higher quality process. But as you can see, you know, it's already looking pretty bad. Another version of the cone handle is this one for Mazarenko. This is one that I really like a lot. So this has not only the cone shape, but it has an oblong end, which you can curl in like this. And then if this part wasn't here, it would be pretty easy. But since this is here, you're having to overcome that as well. And it challenges your rotational speed, rotational strength a lot more. So I like to do either supination with it, or if you go this way, you can also test your pronation. But I recommend this one 100%. I think they call this one the Devin Laird handle. So you can get all the Mazarenko stuff from toproll.net. That's a website where they're the North American provider for the Mazarenko equipment. So that's one source where you don't have to wait a month and a half for. Definitely take advantage of that. So I'll give you guys a close-up of this. So pretty smooth. Really good quality. Fits in your hand pretty well. All right, so what's next? So far, I'm pretty impressed with the quality. It's definitely quality. One thing I don't like is when something looks cool and I see people use it, but then it lasts 6 months and you're down, you know, 150 bucks or whatever. You know, nobody's got time for that. All right. So this one is the UltraGrip. It has the strap for your wrist, and I think you use it like this. So you strap your hand like this, and then you can curl it in. Now comparing, this is the one from Mazarenko right here with no wrist attachment. So this is after around 3 years. I got this one still pretty new. So this one does, as if you can see, because it is 3D printed, it does kind of fray a little bit. This one on the other hand looks a bit better. So the reason to use this one is, of course, you're training your hand and your fingers, but with this wrist support, you can really utilize a lot more lat. And that's something that I didn't really take into consideration before. That's why I always use this one. But you know, more and more as time goes on, I'm realizing how much lat strength you need and how much of this dragging pressure you need. And that's something that Joseph really taught me a lot about when I worked out with him. You know, that's something that I think can benefit everyone. You know, find someone that's good, find someone that's you know, a really great level. You know, ask to work out with them, and you might learn something. Even if you're at a high level, you can always learn something. All right, last handle here. So after this one, we're gonna start the workout. So this one is the WristPro. I haven't really seen this one before. So check this one out. So this one I think everyone's used to this one. They have one that's that you don't put the handle through, that you have like the two straps. That's the one I'm used to. Look at this one though. This is a weird one. I don't know what this one specifically is for, but during the workout we'll figure it out. So with this one, put it here. Let's see if this is similar angles. So with this one, the difference is that it has this hole where your thumb can go. So maybe that's one difference. Otherwise, pretty similar. Maybe this one just hits a little bit more pronation, but we'll see. Okay, that's pretty much for the review. Initial thoughts. When I compare it to other handles, these ones it looks like they were made in a more premium process instead of something like this where you can see the threading of the 3D, where the 3D printer printed it, and that over time will come apart. So let's test this out. Okay, so let's put the cone handle first. So what I want to see is how easily the handle slides on. So that's one complaint that I have with the Mazarenko one, is it does not slide in easily and it's very stiff. So check this out, like butter. and it spins a little bit as well. So, very good. We're going to use this first. But yeah, initial thoughts. I'm very pleased so far. Is it worth $180? Now, something I will say is you get what you pay for. That's definitely true. You know, when I started arm wrestling 5 years ago, I went to Home Depot and got some PVC pipe, and you know, got some straps and got a miter saw and try to make my own handles, right? By the time I finished, I already spent a couple $100 making a few handles, right? So, and they fell apart anyway, you know, after 6 months or so. So this right here, these handles are definitely a good investment, especially if you're going to stay in the sport for a while. Like, let's say you're a new arm wrestler, and you know, give it a couple months. Let's see if arm wrestling is the sport for you. Some people, you know, a lot of people, you'll see a lot of people come and go from the sport, but if you're going to stick around, you definitely need some handles. Unless you're able to just arm wrestle every day with somebody, maybe your brother who lives with you or something like that, or your dad. There's plenty of examples where people don't need handles when they have access to that. Something like John Brzezinski, right? He had Bill Brzezinski and he had his dad, and they arm wrestled every single day. So he never really grew up having to use something like this. But for me, it's different. I don't have that. Cool. So I guess what I'll do is I'll put this away and then get started with the workout.